let's see if this works. See if anybody joins in. Oh, that's not working so well. That was a big bump. Come on, stop it. I gotta tighten that up. Okay. I'm still trying to get situated here. Didn't realize that phone mount was so loose. Darlene. Hello, Darlene. I don't know if anybody's going to be interested in watching this or not. Let's give me a couple minutes to see if anybody else joins in. If you do join in, please join chat so I can see that there's people in here. I got 3. And I'm driving, so it's going to get dark. I hope you can hear me fine. But I'm really tired. Didn't get my nap today. So let me qualify that. I'm a third shift person. So this should be my morning right now, but I work 4 on and 3 off. So during the weekends, I switch to third shift or to regular first shift. So my sleep schedule's all funky. So I'm kind of tired right now. So I figured I'd do a live and maybe ramble a little bit. See if anybody wants to hear anything. Hopefully, I'll get some people that were watching my live stream before when I was down at ICE. Somebody let me know, please, that audio is okay and you can hear what I'm saying. I've seen other people do this and I've watched it. So I know some people find it interesting, so I'll give it a shot. Because it's a weird thing what we do. This whole ICE protest thing. I know there's people that jump in from around the country. Audio is good, thank you. Thank you for that. People that join in from around the country that don't have stuff like this happening in their area. So if I didn't hear, it'd be pretty interesting to see what's going on as well, to me. And a lot of people just think, like, what the hell? Why, it's probably confusing to some people. I called you in and reported a DUI. Well, that's not very nice. That would, somebody, if that's real, somebody's going to feel really silly when I get pulled over because I haven't had a drop of liquor in an awfully long time. But anyways, it's a really strange thing if you haven't experienced it. But the strangest thing about it is some of the characters. There's a lot of theatrics involved. A lot of the tactics are very theatrical on both sides. More so on their side, but it happens on both sides. A lot of stuff is all for show. It's posturing. And it's a very, very different thing. Let me know in the chat if you watched either my stream or somebody else's live stream of what's going on at ICE, so I know that some of you will understand who I'm talking about when I say these things. Because if you haven't watched the ICE live streams, a lot of this is going to sound like gibberish. But tonight, there was a lot of theatrics going on, and there was also some unnecessary physical incidents. I'm a little bit upset. There's a character down there goes by the name Big Spider Mike. He's a large man, probably somewhere between 350, 400 pounds. Calls himself an ex-biker and all this kind of stuff, and tries to play the tough guy role. And he's somebody that I've been chill with. We have had decent conversations. I've even, shook his hand down there and laughed with him and whatever. And we've talked in his live stream. So I tried to give him a certain level of, man-to-man respect. And tonight he did something very unacceptable. There's an older disabled veteran down there whose name is Jerry. And I, unfortunately, don't know his whole story, but I do know that he's immobile. Captain Jerry, yeah. Some of you already know about this. Well, this very large man decided that a disabled veteran in a mobility scooter was enough threat to him in the middle of a wide open street that he had to linebacker tackle him and put him in the hospital. Clotheslined him with an umbrella, I guess. I seen the video, but really quickly. But regardless of the details, something very, very uncalled for, very unnecessary, very cowardly. He's a Vietnam veteran. Yeah, I knew he was a vet. And very violent for a man that large to attack a disabled person. There's no way that a person in a mobility scooter could pose enough of a threat to a man his size that attack would be justified. I mean, for goodness sakes, all you have to do is take 2 steps to the side and you're completely away from the guy. What's he going to do? Chase you down on his mobility scooter? Come on, there's no way that you can justify what he did. And yes, Jerry's in the hospital with some serious injuries. The result of that attack was him basically getting planked to the pavement. He landed on the pavement completely prone. There's no way that he could not have gotten hurt. I mean, that was not a shove. That was not a shoulder check that you would do on a normal person. That was a intentional, grievous attack meant to do bodily harm to a disabled person. Yes, and his crowd stood around laughing about it. I'm telling you right now, I feel like a fool, and I have zero, not an ounce, a shred, an iota of respect for Big Spider Mike. And he's like 60 years old. Mike is. That's a grown-ass man. He's older than I am. Grown-ass man. Should be an example for people. But doing stuff like that. And laughing about it. And then, speaking of zero respect, excuse me, Portland Police Bureau. Man, did you guys drop the ball on this one? They're known for not doing the right thing. I get that. I understand the politics in Portland more than most. And 9 times out of 10, we don't expect them to do the right thing anyways. But in this certain circumstance, and they were not far away, we know they watch everything that happens down there. They did not arrest Mike. I watched it happen before I got down there. And when I got down there, Mike was still standing in the road, jacking his jaw, provoking the Patriot side of things. Whereas Tommy, who got attacked and defended himself, has restrictions and is not allowed and is getting jacked through the judicial system for defending himself. But yet Mike is going to get away with attacking a disabled person. How make that work? Explain to me that math. Make that make sense. Because I can't make that make sense. There's a lot of times the two sides, they get into it with each other, some pushing and shoving, some mace flies, whatever. Sometimes I can understand the cops not wanting to get involved in dumb shit. But this was not that. This was bad. This was beyond being able to look away from. No respect for Portland Police Bureau right now. I didn't have much in the first place, but after today, there's no back in that blue. Because if one of us had done something even remotely close to that, we'd have the book thrown at us, as they say. I just don't get it. I'm not gonna lie. I watched it. I jumped in my car and drove an hour and a half to go confront Mike, and I pussied out because I can't catch a case right now. I have to think about priorities. And by the time I got down there, it was way past reaction time. So that would have been a premeditated assault and all this and yada yada. And they would have booked at me. So I thought better of it. There's a part of me, again, that feels cowardly, feels like I should have done something. But what would it have accomplished? All it would have done was got me in trouble. And I noticed that Spider Mike did not walk anywhere tonight when I was down there without a crowd of people around him. He was making sure that he was not vulnerable tonight. For good reason. He knows there's some karma coming to him. And I'm not making threats. it's more than likely not going to be me dishing out that karma. I would sure like for it to be, but due to circumstances, it's 99.9% sure it's not going to be me. But he's going to get some karma. You can't do something that evil and not have it come back on you. Sorry it's dark, guys, but I live out in the country, so there's going to be some dark periods. And then you got other cast of characters. You got Travis Jurr. Some of you might know him as Stolen Valor, Captain America. I think he's like Nomad PDX or something on X. So he's been making some pretty serious threats on X, specifically towards Tommy. But the funny part about it is, he says, oh, I showed up tonight. Yeah, right after Tommy left. And then proceeded to run around and call everybody else a coward. Now, I'm not sure if it's an act or if he has literally suffered some kind of debilitating brain injury that has left him gone. But he literally lives in an alternate reality. He was talking about an incident that happened in front of Portland City Hall a few days ago. And literally his account of that situation was 180 degrees from the truth. I had it on my live stream. You could hear him saying it. He was literally giving an account of the situation that was flip-flop from what actually happened. And saying it with complete conviction, like he really believes that's what happened. Like he 100% lives in an alternate reality. And I believe a lot of people down there suffer from mental and emotional illnesses. So it's not surprising. But it was so blatant that it kind of was surprising. And these people down there live in an alternate world. They honestly believe this crazy shit that they talk. I think there are a lot of people down there that don't. I think there is a certain degree of people that are doing it for SJW points or are trying to pick up on chicks or think it's the cool place to be because it makes them look good on their Instagram or whatever kind of crazy reason. But there's a lot of people down there that aren't completely down for the cause. They're down there for alternate I lost words. They have alternate being down there. Motives. They have alternative motives. But some of these people are 100% convinced that they're saving the planet somehow, or they're saving their fellow humans somehow. And they're not, obviously. Whatever levels to suffer from, that they're oblivious to the fact that they've been down there for 9 months and nothing has changed. That is a common sense fact. Nothing has changed. ICE has not done anything different other than maybe believe, I've heard rumors that they scaled back their operation, which would make sense. They probably operate different posts, but they're still doing what they do. Nothing is stopped. And they've been down there for 9 months. Quincy did an interview with a guy yesterday, I guess. They got arrested. And his only reasoning was, this is all I can do. This is all you can do for what? What are you changing? I want to defend Jerry. I want to avenge Jerry. I want to even the score. But what good would I do going down there and punching Mike in the face? There is no positive outcome of those actions. Only negative outcomes. So the reality and common sense in me says probably shouldn't do that. These guys lack that common sense and reality because they've been yelling at a building for 9 months and done absolutely nothing. There has been no positive outcome, even in their scale, even in their goals. There has been no positive outcome after 9 months of acting like idiots. But yet they still believe that they're doing the right thing. That's plain crazy, people. That is lack of reasoning skills. Lack of problem solving. If you're trying to solve a problem and you're doing the same thing for 9 months, what do they say? The definition of insanity is repeating the same action and expecting a different result. That's what these guys are doing. So you got to expect out of anybody that participates in that activity, you have to expect a certain level of being mentally unstable. You can't figure them out. You can't make sense of their way of thinking. You can't reason with them. But how can so many people be afflicted with the same illness? I somewhat understand that, some people actually do believe in the cause, and I'm using air quotes, and they come down there 1 or 2 nights and have their signs and yell and maybe talk on a bullhorn and then go about their lives. I get it. I don't agree, but I understand. And it's your right as an American to protest. As long as you're not breaking any laws, doing any damage, hurting any people. We've had a lot of things affected in our country as a result of people protesting in positive ways. Things have changed for the better because of our right to protest and people that were adamant about it. I'm not against protesting. We've literally had our way of life changed in positive ways, starting with people protesting. So I get it. And I'm okay with that. I do not knock these people for protesting. if they do it in a realistic manner, in a nonviolent manner. But as Americans, that is one thing we get to do. So we're okay on that level. But when you take it to an extreme, then it becomes not a protest anymore. And you don't have the right to do that. You don't have the right to negatively affect other people's freedoms, other people's pursuit of happiness, to get your point across. That is no longer a protest. And then when you do it for 9 freaking months with no positive outcome from it, that's just idiocracy. That's just being stupid. And then when you take your frustrations out on poor disabled veterans, then you're just an asshole. And you deserve some comeuppance. Yes, I will put this plain and clear with no reservation. Spider Mike is a giant asshole. And deserves some negative karma. I am praying, because I've seen this happen. Sometimes they just make reports, take names down or whatever, and then a couple days later, out of nowhere, there'll be an arrest. I'm hoping against hope, praying against odds, that happens in this circumstance. That the next time Spider Mike brings his big fat ass down to ice, that he there and slaps some cuffs on him. And finds a squad car big enough to shove him in. Because Spider Mike, you are an asshole. And if you see this, I am more than willing to talk to you about it one-on-one. And I'm not threatening you. Your energy is my energy. But yes, I will tell you to your face, you are a gigantic piece of shit for what you did tonight. And Travis Jor, you're just a giant piece of shit. Because I'm a rational person and an empathetic person, I'm going to give him somewhat the benefit of the doubt and excuse his behavior to mental illness. I personally think somewhere along the line, he must have had a mental and emotional breakdown. It's probably why he's going through the divorce. Because I don't know. I know people do stuff for show. That Reyes character, the one I had a standoff with and the one that tried to get me to have a standoff last night, but karma got him in the form of Shane's pepper spray. In case you guys don't know who I'm talking about, he's the one that got pepper sprayed so bad last night he ran into a pole. Minutes before that happened, he was trying to evoke a response from me, and I just laughed at him and pissed him off. But anyways, I can tell that he's a showboater. He's got some motives that require him to gain attention. He has no real spine. The stuff that comes out of his mouth is not genuine. But Travis, on the other hand, his antics feel way too much to be a show. I think in his addled brain, that's really him. That's really what he's thinking. He's really that off. So like I said, the empathetic person in me wants to feel sorry for him because he's suffered a mental breakdown. Trust me, the asshole in me wanted to bitch smack him across the sidewalk, which, for the record, I am completely capable of doing. But my better angels were whispering in my ear and told me it's not worth it. And I told him it wasn't worth it. You can see on my live stream, I told him he's not worth going to jail for. He's not worth losing a minute of sleep for or having an ounce of stress for. He's a piece of shit that provides us with entertainment. He's done a couple things that were out of pocket. Apparently he spit on Jesse Axtell. That's not okay at all. And he's made some awful bad threats. Talked an awful lot of crap. But he's still not worth stressing over. He's entertainment. That's all he is. And basically, honestly, that's what Big Mike was. Literally, like, I've been watching his live stream while he was at a karaoke bar. So if that's not entertainment, I don't know what the definition is. But he crossed the line tonight that made him not entertainment anymore. It made him a giant asshole. And karma will be served. If I've learned one thing in all of my years, and I've had a few of them, I've learned that karma spares no man. The universe has a way of making things even. Evening the score, as they say. He will taste karma, and it's not going to taste good. But back to my original point, that's you know, I made the comment to somebody, it's kind of like being in a real life Jerry Springer show down there. And everybody's just sitting back waiting for somebody to throw a chair. Or for a girl fight where they rip each other's weaves off their head. And literally all of us watch for that drama. And I say all of us, I'm guilty of it too. It literally gets, sometimes it's boring, and I'm not going to watch this when it's boring. Somebody fight, somebody talk some smack. Somebody go pound on the gate so you get pepperballed. That's why we watch. I made the comparison to somebody at one point. I used to be a huge NASCAR fan. I still like NASCAR, but they went kind of woke a few years ago, so I kind of lost interest. But if you watch a race, Hi, Angry, whoever said that. Hey, it's Jesse. Hi, Jesse. If you watch a boring race, which usually sometimes it happens like at a super speedway, and they've got 500 miles to run at Talladega, let's say, and there's been 450 miles and nobody's wrecked. Because if you're a NASCAR fan, you know when they do restrictor plate racing at the super speedways, it gets really boring sometimes. And that's when you go mow your lawn real quick or go make some dinner. And you listen in the background for the words, oh, it's the big one. Oh, it's the big one. I know there's some NASCAR fans out there and you know what I'm talking about. And when they say it's the big one, you go run into your TV and start watching again. I'm gonna make a bet that there's a lot of us that watch these protests like that. You're doing other things, but listening in the background until you hear some screaming and yelling or some whoa, 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 or something like that. Then all of a sudden you jerk back to the screen to see what kind of drama's going on. Because we watch for the drama. Because you know it's going to happen because of the cast of characters that are down there. Now he's going to speed up. I go to pass him, and he wants to speed up. Fucking jerks. Sorry for cussing. But these people are just something else, man. I guarantee you, if somebody went down there, some social service went down there with some kind of mental evaluation chart and applied it to all these protesters, 2/3 of them would probably be committed. And sometimes it makes it hard, A, to take them seriously, I'm not afraid. I know this. I am very, very secure in my manhood and the abilities that my manhood allows. So I don't feel the need to always react to them. So that allows me a chance to sit back and evaluate rather than instantly reacting. And a lot of times it just leaves me feeling sorry. Tomorrow is National Freedom Day. You going? I can't go back tomorrow. I have to work tomorrow night. And I don't know if my old body had handled 3 nights in a row anyways, to be honest. But no, I have to work tomorrow night, so I won't be able to go down. I think if tomorrow is Sunday, I've kind of lost track of my days. So I say that now, but who knows? I could get home and find out I don't. But no, like I said, I probably couldn't handle 3 days down there anyways. I have some physical problems that, although I'm not doing anything major, I'm just kind of walking around and stuff, just being on my feet that long and sometimes the drive or ride back and forth, it wears me out a bit. I'm old, people. I'm not a spring chicken anymore. So it's literally going down there wears me out sometimes. So three nights in a row. I'll leave that to the youngsters. Oh my goodness, I forgot. All right. I was supposed to stop at a McDonald's and I forgot. I think there's a fast food restaurant still open up here. I'll go check it out. Or I'll go run and see if the McDonald's drive-thru in town is still open. But anyways, I have the chance to evaluate these people, and I end up feeling sorry for them because of that's got to be something really bad in your brain to be in the to volunteer to be in the position that they're in down there. There's got to be something, there's got to be a screw loose up there that justifies in your own head yelling at a building for no reason whatsoever. And I guess that's why I've been able to stay non-confrontational, because I have that point of view, because I look at them with almost sympathy, I guess. I look at them with with problems, and I know they are a problem, so it's easy to look at them as a problem, but the empathy in me looks at them as people with a problem. And it's not always easy to do that. I have rage, I have anger, but I've learned over the years to not let that rage and anger get me in trouble anymore, because it used to really bad. But it's confusing. These people, I mean, I can only imagine some of you that are other places and watch this and just get completely confused as to how this is even happening. I live in Newburgh and go with you anytime. I just got out of Newburgh. I just drove through Newburgh, actually. Who is that? I can't see it while I'm driving. It's something ice, something. But yeah, I have to go. I live out way past Newburgh, but I go to Newburgh to get back and forth. I can only imagine if I wasn't from Portland, and if I haven't been experiencing this for 10 years now, I can only imagine how I would mentally react to watching these live streams. I was in North Dakota for my brother's wedding some years back. This was during the first Trump presidency. So that had been more than like 5 years ago or something. And I found my first Trump store. And if any of you aren't familiar, there are actually stores out there that the major thing they sell is Trump swag, patriotic stuff. And this blew my mind, because as some of you could could probably understand. I don't think they would get away with doing something like that in the Portland area. I think at the rallies and stuff, when these people come out with their tents full of Trump flags and stuff, I think those people are pretty brave. I couldn't imagine trying to set up a storefront. But anyways, in North Dakota, I found one. I know where Panda Express is. I worked on the apartments right across from Panda Express. So I found a Trump store, and McDonald's isn't open. I'm going to have to go to the more expensive drive-thru. So I go into this Trump store with my brother because one of for his wedding reception, that was kind of the dress code, is we're going to wear Trump stuff. And my brother mentioned something to the store owner about me being from out of town. And curious, he says, "Oh, where are you from?" I says, "I'm from Portland." And my brother pipes up and laughs. He goes, "Yeah, this guy has been face to face with Antifa in Portland." And the guy's face just looked at me. He goes, "For real?" I'm like, "Yeah." And I pulled up a video and showed him, and he's like, "Oh my God." He said, "I didn't even think that stuff was real. I thought it was like edited videos and stuff." And he's like, "That really happens there?" And I'm sure that that's the reaction from a lot of people around the country. Like if you lived in the middle of Nebraska or Kansas, our live streams would look like something from another country. Unless you live in a blue city or near a blue city where you've seen this stuff actually happen, it's got to look just craziness. It's got to look fake. And there are point in times when I wonder, why do we do this? Why do we spend our time and energy on reacting to this? Because guess what? Here's the honest to God's truth. We've been going down there for how many months? And there's been changes, but we haven't stopped them. They're still doing it. We still get railroaded by PPB. City Hall has not changed their mind. Portland is still a sanctuary city. They are still terrorizing ICE every freaking night. So I can't help but wonder, are we as crazy as they are? I'm posing that as a question. Because, and I'm posing that as a question to somebody from the outside looking in. Because I have normie friends that have said that. They're like, "Whoa, are you any different than they are? Because you're down there basically doing the same thing, only wrapped in the American flag." Now, obviously, there's nuances to it that it's not really that simple. But what does this say? How can we contact each other? I'll tell you what, my name is the same on X. Like I said, I can't really see what your name is while I'm driving. But hit me up on X. My name is the same. And we can discuss it there, figure it out from there. But I've literally been doing this for 10 years. And I've seen, for instance, in 2020, I'm going to say that the Patriot movement chilled out for two different reasons. First of all, J6 was such a huge event in the fallout afterwards that it shook everything up really, really bad. And I don't think that everybody really quite knew how to process it. So I think that was a factor. The other factor, another factor, was Biden winning. And I think we all just stopped and were like, WTF, how did this happen? And then I think in the Portland area, especially, everybody took a step back and said, why are we doing this? Nothing's getting better. Portland is still Portland. And everything fizzled out for a while. I think it may have been a couple years between rallies. I think, I don't remember when the date was, when the big Kmart rally happened and the battle on 122nd. But that was my first rally in a long, long while because the Patriot movement fizzled out. And I think it was because of those factors. Somebody could argue with me. That's just what I think, how I see it from my point of view. But other than that brief break, I've been into conservative activism heavily for 10 years. I've actually been doing it since Y2K in the Vera Katz days, but fervently and very actively since 2015, since Trump started running. It started at a flag wave. I had met some 3%ers online and was interested in that. And then they told me about flag waves. And oddly enough, as patriotic as I have been throughout my life, I wasn't hip to flag waves. I really didn't know. So when somebody said, let's do this, or you're welcome to come down and join us, all I wanted to do was stand in front of the Salem Capitol and wave my American flag. I've got a call coming in. I don't know if I can pause this without screwing it up. I don't know if there's a mute button. Okay, I've got a mute button. If you guys will excuse me just for a minute, I've got to call my wife, and I will be right back. Try dropping a comment in one of his other videos. Mention you're the one who wants. Yeah, basically it's best just to get through me on X. Give me a DM in X. Anyways, I will be right back. If you'll allow me a minute to call my wife, I will be right back. All right, I'm back. Is everybody still here? Or did I lose everybody making that phone call? If you guys want me to continue the conversation, you're going to have to deal with me going through drive-through real quick. I got to get food for the family on the way home. I think I'm going to have to go around. That's not going to work, even in this car. And then somebody in a couple minutes will have to remind me where I left off. I think I was talking about flag waves. But like I said, I got to do this real quick. And I'll be right back with you guys. But I'll let you guys go through the drive-thru. Free burger day on my birthday. Oh, wow. I have to remember that. Late night, build your own bag.
Hello, what can I get for you?
Um, let's see. What's this build your own bag thing?
Build your own bag?
Yeah, let me get 2 of those
Okay.
with the burgers,
Okay.
and let's do 1 fry, 1 onion ring.
All right. Anything else?
Yeah. Let's go with just a famous star with cheese.
Okay.
Just the burger, nothing else with it.
Okay.
And that should do it.
All right. It's gonna be 1970s.
All right. Thank you. We're here. Yes, Salem just wanted to wave a flag. Yeah. Sorry, this is not riveting content, guys, but like I said, I've got to feed the family on the way home. That's why my wife was calling me to let me know that there was no food for the kids at the house. So, oh, you're by the Lowe's. Oh, Caveman knows Mac. Yep. I am by the Lowe's at the Carl's Jr. is the only drive-thru open this late after midnight, other than Taco Bell, and I'm not doing Taco Bell. I was supposed to stop at McDonald's, but they all close at midnight, and I forgot because I was talking to you guys. Caveman, I seem to think you and I have talked before. For some reason, your name sounds really familiar, and if we've had like long conversations and I'm not putting 2 and 2 together, please forgive me. But are you from this area? Obviously, if you know Mac.
1997. There you go.
Thank you. Oh, we have. Yeah. Are you from Mac? Are you from Newburgh? Like I said, I recognize your name, but I can't remember what we talked about. Sorry. It's late and I'm tired and I'm driving. Yeah, you are from Newburgh. Okay. That makes sense. But yeah, I went to the flag wave in Newburgh. It was held by some 3%ers. And all I wanted to do was just wave my flag in front of the Capitol because I've always been a patriotic person. It used to be, I used to be quite the drunk. And at my local bar, it was a game for my friends to get me really drunk and then have some unsuspecting fool walk up to me and say something negative about America. And then the fireworks would start. That was a game to my friends, my drinking friends. So I've always been really patriotic. So I thought waving my flag on Court Street or whatever street the Capitol's on seemed like a really good way to spend a Saturday and meet some other patriotic people. Some new friends, seemed harmless, seemed like no way to get in trouble or have negative experiences. Seemed a pretty good thing to do. Well, apparently Antifa doesn't think that's something that we should be doing. Antifa doesn't think it's a good idea because maybe a dozen of us there doing absolutely nothing. And we weren't even supporting Trump back then. I think maybe one person may have had a Trump shirt on or something because it was when Trump was first starting to run. And we got messed with by what the press would label counter-protesters. We weren't protesting anything, but apparently if a group of people stand in front of the Capitol waving American flags, it must be a protest, according to local media. So we were labeled antagonistic. We were labeled bad guys for being patriotic, for expressing love and admiration for our nation. And that didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. That just did not compute. I couldn't get over that. It threw me for a loop. I said, how is this possible? And it made me want to be an activist. It made me want to stand up and be even louder, to be even more of an outspoken patriot. Because apparently the liberal media thought that was a bad idea. So me being a confrontational person that I was, not so much anymore, but I used to be rather confrontational. Me being a confrontational person, if the liberal media didn't like it, I was going to do it twice. And that's why I got into fervent activism. And then I don't know how many of you are local, how many are not, but some of you may be familiar with the March for Trump. Well, next event that really kind of pushed me over the edge was I ended up in the election night riots in downtown Portland. And that was an eye-opening experience because thousands of liberal protesters, hundreds of Black Bloc Antifa running amok in downtown Portland, and the cops really not doing much about it other than giving them warnings over the loudspeaker and closing a road so that the Max bus could still run. That was about all they did. They did absolutely nothing to thwart the large amount of physical damage that they did to the downtown corridor. And I was in the middle of that crowd and actually saw firsthand, up close and personal, how Antifa was and how the radical left was. And it pissed me off because people were getting attacked just because they weren't part of the mob. And unfortunately, you're in downtown Portland, so many innocent, unsuspecting people that just happen to be there at the wrong place and wrong time, and they're getting assaulted, harassed, all kinds of things because they're not actively part of the mob. Not even about disagreeing or anything like that, just the fact that they're not part of the melee was getting people assaulted. So that kind of pushed me even farther to the right. And I say that because I'm actually kind of a centrist. I have beliefs on both sides of the aisle. And I was always kind of leaning right, but I was never far right. But these events pushed me that way because I kept seeing over and over how crazy the left is now, the radical left, and how easily they, oops, excuse me.
There you go.
Thank you. You too. Appreciate it. And how easy it was for them to act like this in a city that encourages it, i.e. Portland, and to a certain extent Salem as well. But the next event was the March for Trump that we had in Lake Oswego. And I think it was held in Lake Oswego for a reason, in hindsight. I think Lake Oswego, oh, Jesus, are you kidding me? I think Lake Oswego gave kind of a false sense of security. And for those of you who aren't from Portland area, Lake Oswego is a nice suburb. It's the wealthier part of the metro area. And I think because of that, the organizers thought that we wouldn't have to deal with the downtown Portland BS. But oh, were they wrong. They organized an event where we were just all going to get together and celebrate the fact that we were all happy Trump got elected. And it's called March for Trump because it was on March 4th. So this is only a couple months after Trump had gotten into office. And I won't go into too many details, but you can see videos of where it almost started immediately getting attacked by Black Bloc, getting harassed, getting our ceremony, I guess you would call it, getting our activities interrupted. We had some crazy, lunatic, pasty-faced young girl, probably like 18, 19 years old, that looked like a vampire, stand about 20 feet away from the gazebo where our speakers were, and she just starts screaming at the top of her lungs for absolutely no reason whatsoever. She just appeared out of nowhere and starts screaming. This chick that literally looked like she was dead. She was so pasty and so white. And then the next thing you know, we're in a sunken park. The driveway into the park goes downhill, and we're at the bottom of the hill, and we just see a parade of Black Bloc coming down into the park, and it turned into a melee. And then it turned into a situation where they were following us around, or they cut us off so that our march couldn't go down the sidewalks. It was just absolute insanity. And none of us who became what we now call the OG Patriot crowd, none of us knew each other, because our generation of patriots didn't get together until 2016 when Trump was elected. And I think a lot of people were in the same boat. None of them really knew much about activism or rallies or protests or Antifa. Nobody really knew a whole lot about it. But a whole bunch of us showed up at the March for Trump event and pretty much discovered evil all at the same time. And it fired a whole bunch of people thinking the same thing that I thought was like, this is crazy and something has to be done about it. And out of that, the fairly recent Patriot movement was born. A lot of it due to Joey Gibson. And that's a whole nother story. But that's how I became an activist. So all this started back in 2015 and really heavy in 2016. So back to the original point, I've been doing this hardcore for 10 years. And every once in a while, I got to sit back and look at the amount of craziness still happening, i.e. this ICE protest, and the response to it or lack of response by Portland City Hall and PPB, and think, why are we spending our energy to counter this? And are we as crazy as them? In 2017, I don't know, I just watched a video on it and I should know this, but in 2017, there was an Occupy ICE thing. those of you that have been down there, or those of you who have watched the videos, are familiar with the trolley stop where the next to the ice building, where they have a small encampment now. That entire area was walled off and taken over and occupied, hence the name, by radical left. They literally built a wall while protesting against Trump building the wall. That was kind of a fun irony. We were down there counter-protesting that. There's video of it. We, as a patriot group, went down there and protested the Occupy ICE event, direct action as they call it, in I believe 2017. That's 9 years ago-ish. Here we are 9 years later, still counter-protesting them protesting ICE. So are we any less crazy than them? I look at our group of people, and I look at their group of people, and I'm going to say yes, we are less crazy than them. Because they're just lunatics, for the most part. Like I said, there's some people that come down once in a while and protest and actually live normal lives and whatever, yada, yada. But what we deal with on a nightly basis, like I was saying in Mr. Bill's chat earlier, there's a shift change that happens when the lights come on. I likened it to, I don't know how many of you guys have been to casinos, big casinos. I live 15 minutes away from one, so we go quite often. And they have what's called senior night or senior day. So they're literally bus loads of senior citizens that come to the casino. Have to smoke. You smoke outside now, 10 feet away from the doors, the front doors, whatever. And at 9 o'clock-ish, you see all these buses show up with retirement homes written on the side of them, and all these senior ICE. When the sun goes up, you see all the boomer parking to their cars. And then you see all the black bloc start walking in. It's a shift change. I've watched it happen. One day I went down there when it was still daylight, because I think it was summertime still, so it was daylight later. And the boomers stayed a little bit later until the sun went down. So when I say these characters, okay, a little buffer there, we do the same thing. Most of our group doesn't show up until later, 6 o'clock or later. Usually most of them don't show up until 7 or 8 o'clock. Because that's when shit happens. After the shift change. And the late shift literally looks like somebody opened the asylum doors and they all went wandering down to ICE. These people are the cast from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. And although I'm questioning the sanity of our actions, I am not going to question the sanity of 99% of our patriots. Every once in a while, one of us does some stuff that I'm like, okay, dude, Okay, chick. Maybe we need to reevaluate that. But 99.9% of us and 99% of the time, I can say without question that we are a lot more sane than the Antifa or radical left group. But again, I'm big on optics. So to normies, do we look any more sane? When we're standing in the middle of the road and shouting? When we're yelling curse words over bullhorns? When we're getting in their face enough to provoke an inevitable violent situation? What do normies think about our actions? Do they see us any different than them? That's my question. And I'm asking these questions for purpose of self-evaluation. Because I go down there and I ended up in a standoff with one of them and a stare down. I ended up in a war of words with Travis tonight. I drove down there initially with the intent on getting into a violent confrontation with Big Spider Mike. I thought that was my original intent. So I have to evaluate for my own purposes. I have to evaluate, does that make me any better than them? That's my question to myself. And I guess I would like for all of us patriots to self-evaluate that way, to hold ourselves accountable. I'm going to turn the light on because I have to find my cigarettes. Talking to you guys, it's the first time I've ever made that drive without smoking. I guess having a live stream is good for me. But feel free to comment in answer to that. I guess leave a comment on the video later, because your comments are going to disappear when I end the live stream, aren't they? A canoe journey began in Alaska, became larger as they went south. Canadians joined in, and they picked up more and more canoes heading to Vancouver to block the entrance to the river. Nicholas, what are you? Is this like a current event that I don't know about? Canoe journey began in Alaska and is bigger, and they blocked the entrance to the river. The only river in Vancouver is the Columbia. Unless you're talking about Vancouver, Canada, which I'm not as familiar with. I'm going to have to look that up. I'm not sure what you're talking about. And, yeah, Caveman, I'm sure you're familiar with Spirit Mountain. Somebody thought dredging the Columbia River deep and widen it would allow bigger ships inland. Yeah, and they're talking about it now because of the new I-5 bridge. They're so confused about that stupid river. But yeah, I'm going to have to end this because I got to pick up my family here. I would like to ask that question, and I would like to get some comments to respond to that. Positive, negative, doesn't matter. Be honest. Leave me an honest comment. If you want to cuss me out for asking that question, that's fine. I welcome feedback, positive and negative. But that's my question. And I really think that every patriot should ask themselves that before and after we go down there. If you've got normie family, are you willing to put on one of these live streams that you're in? Are you willing to let them watch one of these live streams on Thanksgiving? if you have normie family? Or are you concerned that they're going to think weird of you? Luckily, I have a patriotic family and they accept my activism, some even support it. My family's all for it. I don't have to worry about that. But are you okay with how people are looking at you? If not, you may have to readjust your tactics for the sake of optics. I think about that every time. Every time I'm doing activism, I think, when my kids see this video, what are they going to think about me? Watching from the Roseburg. Nice. Yes, please do. If you haven't yet, please like and subscribe. I don't know how many people have been watching. I've been watching the chat number, which is not a lot, but I mean, just people willing to listen to me BS like this is pretty cool. We'll have to do it more often. But that's my takeaway all the time when I leave ICE is whatever I did down there, am I willing to show people? People that don't go down there, people that aren't familiar, normies or family members, whatever. Am I willing to play a video that shows what I did that night with no shame and no regret? Because that's a question we ask them. When you get older and you have kids, we say this to the young ones, and we say to the old ones, if you have kids now, do you want them seeing what you're doing down here, how you're acting, how you're presenting yourself? We ask them that. We should ask ourselves that too. And I do. I'm very self-conscious because I've spent a lot of years doing stupid stuff that I'm embarrassed about. I don't regret anything, but I am embarrassed about some things. And I don't want to be that person anymore. I don't want to be a person who's embarrassed about what he's done. I said some things to Travis I'm a little embarrassed about tonight in the heat of the moment. I composed myself. I didn't get angry. I didn't fly off the lid. I didn't allow a violent confrontation. But I said some things in our heated discussion that I'm embarrassed about. I used some words I probably shouldn't have used in public because it wasn't a live stream and there were other people live streaming. So quite a few people heard me use some words I don't normally use. Hi, baby.
Papa,
what?
This kid is about to get his.
Okay, I'm still on the live stream, baby.
Oh, okay.
Don't threaten to beat our 2-year-old on the live stream, baby.
He is on a mission.
Is he bratty brat?
Oh my lord! He
Picking up my.
tried to climb Jamie's shelf.
Uh-oh. Oh, I'll unlock it. Hold on. All right, guys, I'm gonna wrap this up. Before I do, I want you guys to say hi to my grandson. Can we see him? Can we see him? Say hi, Jimmy.
Say hi.
Say hi, Jimmy.
You're famous.
Well, you look cranky.
Oh, he's cranky. For sure.
Are you cranky? Is Papa gonna have to put you in a timeout?
He redecorated Jamie's house.
Oh, were you decorator?
Yeah.
Oh, he smiled when you said that.
Yeah.
Anyways. Yep. So, yeah, that's the question. Leave me a comment later. I don't know how long it'll take to process this. Probably won't process till tomorrow. Facebook's been kind of slow. I mean, YouTube's been kind of slow. So, but yeah, like I said, I'm not alone anymore, so I'm going to stop rambling. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for supporting. If it's your first time around, please hit those buttons. Any support is very, very much appreciated. God bless and Patriot on.